Look, Vash can't have all the fun. So this week we get to spend a little bit of time finding out more about our bad boy knives.
Fash! Fash, fash, fash! The Stampede!
Pyroline?
Oh, I love Paralines, but so the very first thing I want to ask you about here, Matthew, is when the show gets started and we see Knives sitting down there playing a piano. Wouldn't that have been a lot cooler if that was a pipe organ? Because around the room they already had the pipes animated. All it is you just change the sound mix.
They did. That's a big mistake not going for the full Phantom of the Opera.
I know, boom, 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 boom. Is that Phantom of the Opera?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
It's still pipe organ though. Pipe organ always more intimidating than a little tin pan piano.
Yes, even if it's
Uh,
chopsticks.
I don't know. Maybe there's some Tin Pan Alley fans out there that are gonna write me hate mail. All those Scott Joplin heads that are all over YouTube these days. I find myself increasingly thinking that maybe Knives is in the right. Do you
Uh-huh.
find Knives more sympathetic this time around?
Yeah, about as much as I always have, really.
See, I need to go revisit the original anime a little bit more because I think when I watched it the first time through, I was so focused on like traditional superhero and villain kind of dynamics, and I focused so much on Vash that maybe I didn't give Knives the credit he deserved back that first watch through. So maybe I should go revisit it.
I should change my comment a little bit because these days I rarely ever think of the anime, the original anime.
Oh yeah.
I've always got the manga in mind, so
Right, and it's so hard to separate those out. It's like
yeah.
slowing down sometimes to separate books from movies and stuff, just remembering which is which.
Yeah.
But I do think that they're doing a great job. Maybe it's just because the story's moving a little quicker this time around too. So
Hmm.
I don't have as much, like being spun out. And I feel like we got to spend a little bit more time with Vash before we even met Knives in the first anime, I feel like here,
Oh,
Knives
lot.
pops up in the first
Yeah.
episode, right? And
Right.
even says, "Hey, it's my brother." There's no mystery there at all. So maybe that's part of it. Is now I'm not so firmly like on the ground with one team before the other team shows up, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I will say, time and time again, I think I'm going to be making this comparison, but it's like Magneto, one of my absolute favorite Marvel comic book characters, one of my favorite comic book characters overall. I'm starting to see more and more of what I like about Magneto and his origin in Knives here.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely say some of the humans kind of deserve it.
I mean, I don't think it would be overly like hyperbole to say that it amounts to a plant holocaust that we see in this episode with all those red plants just all the way down that tunnel. I mean, if
True
if
enough.
those were humans in those tubes and the plants were showing me around, I'd be crapping my pants.
Yeah. Hey. Oh. Ooh.
Oh, I got a little
Some
carried away. I might have done a little bit of that just then.
some world that's a Twilight Zone episode.
But if you were a plant and you were on no man's land, do you think you'd be more like Vash or more like Knives?
Hmm. Well, I'd like to say I'll be more like Vash, but I think if I really being honest with myself, no. More knives.
Now, I know this wasn't an option on the multiple choice test, but I think I'd be a little bit more like Booster Gold, strangely. A
Sure.
superhero with advertising space available.
Uh-huh. In it for the justice and the money.
The justice and the money, but you got to pay up front. Justice is not COD. You got to pay up front.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She demands upfront payment.
Okay. I watched a couple of YouTube videos about, Trigun Stampede because I haven't been checking out what other people are doing. But it's something somebody talked about that I loved, and you may have already seen this, but somebody has suggested there's a rumor out there that at the end of this course, at the end of this group of episodes, whether they call it a course or a season, Vash is going to get a haircut and look more like the Vash we know and love from the old anime. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I've heard that possibility. I don't put too much stock into it, but the Orange did release that finale picture. I don't know if you've seen it,
I have
but
not seen it.
it's got Vash and Knives falling, and they've got and Vash's hair is up. Well, it could just be the effect of them falling, but they have put it out there.
I also think there are going to be some more changes by the end to get us back on course with what we're expecting. Like, we've been talking so much about Millie, and then you even made a little bit of speculation about a Derringer falling into somebody else's hands, right?
Right, I did. Merrill has previously been known as Derringer Merrill, and
Exactly.
I love Derringer Merrill. I want Derringer Merrill, and of
And
course,
what
Stun Gun Millie.
and you once again catching stuff that seems obvious when you tell it to me, but it was like straight over my head the first time I watched. So first off, I don't necessarily like, I know, like, if you say, "Hey, do you know what a Derringer is?" I say, "Yes, I know what a Derringer is." But if I see a Derringer and you say, "What is this?" I'd have to think for a minute. So maybe that was part of it
Yeah.
too. I'm not a I don't have a wide collection of Derringers to shove in my garter like you do.
Hey, who told you about my garter?
Who do you think you like better? Which version of knives that we saw so far in Trigun Stampede? Wolverine knives or the Doc Ock knives?
Doc Ock knives.
The Doc Ock knives just look so intimidating. It just has
Yes.
so much menace on screen. But boy,
Yeah.
I love the visceralness of that close hand-to-hand melee combat. I mean, it's like what's so fun about fantasy and medieval fighting is you got all that battle with, Vikings with axes and hammers and spears and
Yeah.
swords instead of,
Yeah.
nobody wants to watch a movie where Vikings and Englishmen just shoot with archers back and forth like it probably really was a lot of the time.
Uh-huh.
Who cares about the ranged attack? We want the melee attack. So I like the battle better as Wolverine. I would say it's much like the comic books. I
More
love
like
watching
more like X-23 though, don't you think?
yeah, because the size and the number of blades.
And the feet, he's got feet knives too.
Oh yes, that's. I wonder, does Dakin have that? Dakin? You know what I'm talking about? The son of
I
Wolverine.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
either.
he has like
I'm gonna have.
one claw in each hand, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up again. I thought he had two, like X-23.
Oh.
But I could be way off. I have to look this one. Nobody tuned in for that. What am I doing? Anyway, I like to see Wolverine in a fight, but I like
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
Doc Ock enter a room. So I
Yes.
would like for him to enter the room with the tentacle armed, the actual millions of knives. But then when it's time to really, really get anger out on someone, like
Yeah.
if there was a big battle between he and his brother, I would want him to be Wolverine style, so they're face to face and they can talk and it's not ranged.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And it literally was his entrance with the Doc Ock blades.
In this episode too, they address his name. Like his name is Knives. And I think Knives is like, your name's Matthew, but I call you Matt sometimes. So I think like Millions Knives is his full name, but you just call him Knives for short. But here
Yeah.
it's like his name was Knives, and then he adopts the millions when he's talking about how many blades he will cover with human blood to free the plants, basically millions.
Yeah.
Millions million. I can't do the Japanese pronunciation without sounding like I'm doing an impersonation that might be offensive, but like naivus or the kind of the way that they say it
Knives.
in Japanese sounds so good
Yeah.
on screen.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do you know the pronunciation better than me? It almost sounds
Uh,
like naivus, and I don't know if that's right or if that's offensive or what, but I love the way it sounds.
Midian's Knives Zoo, I think, something like that.
Yeah, good job,
Midian's
man. Good
Knives
job.
Zoo. You can usually hear the ooh at the end of what's, I think, usually an English word adapted into it.
Yeah, I think I picked up on that too. Like the way that when I was watching Death Note and L was like Eru, so
Right.
I'm slowly picking up on things. That's some of the fun of watching, subs instead of dubs is to kind of hear, pronunciations that I wouldn't have heard otherwise.
Yeah.
I think now is probably a time where it's appropriate to ask because the season's going into its final, or the cores, whatever you want to call it, going into its final act, the final few episodes. Why aren't more people watching this show? Because I got to tell you, the people that watch it, I think really, really like it. Why aren't more people watching it?
People who watch it, as far as I can tell, are absolutely loving it. It's just mostly hang-ups on the animation style and the previous anime.
I've
You know?
heard, uh, how I said before, I'd watched lots of YouTube videos about
Yeah.
Vash this past week or Trigun Stampede. Well, one of them made a pretty good point, and they said people that have nostalgia for Trigun don't want to see this new show, and people that don't remember Trigun don't have any real reason to see this new show because it's kind of just being promoted as a reboot of the beloved Trigun. And I
Uh-huh.
think that they're making a pretty good argument. Now, I don't know if that's oversimplifying it, but I can see where it's in this weird position where if you love the original, you're just going to keep comparing it to the original. And if you haven't heard of the original, you're not motivated to check this out because I don't think it's been promoted as anything other than like, if you know Trigun, you know
Mhm.
this story, but it's different now. So I
Yeah.
think that was a really bad way to promote it before the season came out. It worked for me and you really well. I don't even think Chris would be watching this if we hadn't asked him
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him.
to. But I don't know. Do you think there's some validity to that theory that it's stuck in this in between, the old and the new? It doesn't. It's only catching that small amount of people in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And of course, there's me who does have love for the original and just really wanted to see more of the manga adapted. And so far, it hasn't given me everything I want, but it's given me a lot of what I wanted.
And I really don't recall the manga that well. I've been a while since I read it. I only started with Maximum, so all the stuff in the original Trigun I don't even have in my mind.
Hmm.
And it's this show's just perfect to me because I enjoyed the first one. I really like the character of Vash, but I don't know the details like you do. I don't even remember it as well as Chris for the most part. And I'm just jumping into this wide open because I want to experience this story from the beginning with people because I missed the other one from the beginning. I jumped on years later. So it appealed to me, it appealed to you, and I think the Crunchyroll rating says it gets 7 streams per episode, I think, in North America. So it's just us.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
I'm hoping that word gets out eventually. If it'll maybe make it to Netflix or a little bit larger platform too, where people will stumble upon it. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully we get more than the 12 episodes for us.
Why do you think, or maybe you already know the answer to this? I don't quite know the answer. Why do you think Knives figured out what the humans were up to before Vash did?
It goes back to stuff that I hope we're going to see still. So I kind of don't want to say anything about it.
Okay, but you think that we may get some more insight into that based on your meta knowledge?
Yeah, because we
Okay,
still haven't. I don't think we still haven't. We've got a good reason for him to be angry, but we still don't have the beginning of it. We don't know why
yes,
he originally decided to crash the ships and save the plants.
okay. So hopefully we get some more of that, and hopefully, like, I want to get as much as possible in this first course because we're not guaranteed to get any more with the way the
Yeah.
ratings are going right now. So I want them to give us as much as possible.
Yep. Sad but true.
Do you think Rim was telling the truth when she said plants can't live without human intervention?
I think she was telling the truth as she knew it.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, I think she might believe it, but I think we're seeing clearly that it's not true. And it also sounds like, well, propaganda to keep
Yeah.
humans from feeling bad about what they're doing. You
Yeah.
know, same kind of untrue propaganda that have happened in real life atrocities. I don't want to go down mention them all by name
Yeah.
because I might,
There's a
skip one that's really important because I just forgot or something. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You
You
don't
know,
feel sad
things
for the dinosaur. You don't feel sad for the dinosaurs that are providing oil for us now, do you?
you know what? I kind of do, man.
Oh.
Especially the ones that look like Dino from the Flintstones. Guess what? I bought a very special car. It only uses vegetarian oil. It's only oil that was from plants, none from animals.
Oh.
See, you thought I meant vegetable oil, but no. I'm talking petroleum. Did you like this episode's explanation? And I'm going to assume it's from the manga, but do you like the explanation for why Knives prefers blades to bullets?
That you know, I'm embarrassed to say I don't have a clear memory of the dialogue from that.
Well, yeah, it came down to when he's using the blades, he's like, a bullet is for a coward. You fire it from far away. With the blade, you feel your enemy die or whatever. And I think that's
Yeah.
also goes
Okay.
along with like the visceralness of the Wolverine because the stuff that he did when we saw him with the Doc Ock, let's be honest, it's as much of a ranged attack as a gun is in this show. I mean, a
Yeah,
gun has a further range, but the accuracy starts being diminished, as you get much further away.
fair enough.
So
Yeah.
it's sort of like Animal Farm. Two legs bad, four legs good, four legs better, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, they kind of have this where he's saying, "I'm going to use knives instead of bullets," but then maybe a little hypocrisy leaks out because of the. It's the equivalent of a grenade or a bomb the way he uses his blades that first time he shows up and goes into the sphere and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, is that really uh, sort of emotionally different than a bullet? You're just kind of playing semantics with yourself.
Yeah. Nope, it's only how close the vibrations are or something.
Oh yeah. He still though does have that direct line of connection with the blade. So that
Yeah.
whole idea of feeling their life leave their body, you don't do
Yeah.
that with a bullet.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Also, I consider that I consider that a feature, not a bug, not feeling the life leave someone's body. But to each his own.
Yeah, absolutely. And we
Like,
he re Kni Knives really hates arms, doesn't he?
oh man. So the angel arm. Do you want to talk about the angel arm anymore yet, or are we going to wait a little bit more?
I don't have no idea what we actually saw in this episode.
That's kind of funny because with the arm, I'm trying to remember whether or not we saw the story yet. Did we see the arm come off?
Yeah, and then it got
Okay,
sucked into the black hole it was creating or whatever,
the
which I don't
gateway.
know.
That's right. It
Yeah,
blew it off
the
at the
gate.
gateway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then
Okay.
I 'cause this if I mean, what's supposed to happen to that arm, I don't know how it's gonna happen now, so I'm really confused and wondering what's I'm gonna see in the next few episodes.
Well, that's
That's a
going to
good
make it that
thing.
much more fun to watch him.
Yeah.
Who was the person from the seeds that went with knives? Is that who turns into that older mustachioed man we see?
I believe so.
Because the time, I guess, they still have the cold sleep, I suppose. Just because
Yeah.
Knives leaves doesn't mean the human couldn't do that suspended animation thing. Because I was thinking maybe Knives had a way to give him some kind of extended lifespan, but he probably is just doing what the other humans did, which is the deep sleep
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, he's probably got his own cold sleep cylinder somewhere or something.
But I assume that's who that guy was, but I knew you would know for sure, so you could help clear it up for me there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't see why they'd have a different character.
Well, I was wondering, like, is this gonna turn into Blue Summer? What's Blue Summer's first name?
Legato.
Yeah, Legato. I thought maybe this would be turning into Legato. I didn't know for sure, but he'd really have to change his look to become Legato.
Yeah, yeah, quite a bit. And that's there's so much we can still see there, which really gives me more hope that there's going to be more episodes after this season or whatever.
Would you stay inside of Brad and Luita's ship as long as you could if you were these guys in the anime here?
Probably,
Because
probably.
like Roberto and Meryl are like, we got to get on our way, and there's no way I would want to leave that place.
Yeah,
Look, I've seen No Man's Land. There ain't nothing any better than this anywhere. Nowhere in the seven cities are you going to get this lush lawn. You can turn into a putting green if you like golf. It's not my thing, but Roberto looks like a golfer
yeah, you do. Of course, I wonder how they get out of the sandstorm that they create to hide in.
well. I don't know. I guess we'll have to find that one out too. Maybe they got like a little
Oh,
tunnely thing or something, like
I,
underground
like
and pop out.
I have such images in my head of what we might see because I think we're probably going to go back to the ship to home, and if we do, I hope we see what I want to see.
Because I was
'Cause
picturing like a trapdoor spider out in the desert. The little thing pops up and the spider comes out. Only it's people.
I've seen eight-legged freaks.
So I'm guessing that plants produce oxygen and energy. But what else do they produce? It seems like there's other things maybe that the plants produce. Do they produce food, water?
Odors? Oh,
Is that about
uh,
it, or is it pretty
real-
much just oxygen, oxygen, energy, and knives? Are those the only things they produce?
yeah, no, because they specifically say they have a gravity plant.
Oh, oh. Ooh, that's a cool concept.
So,
Imagine cranking that sucker up and just pulling
yeah,
everything, like the whole
I
planet in on itself.
I don't know if it's I don't remember it's ever I do not remember if it's ever been fleshed out anywhere really.
Oh man, I'm kind of eager to learn more about the plants here in this telling too, or at least
Yeah.
this version of the plants.
Can't read your handwriting.
Are you glad that Roberto finally said Meryl's name?
I'm glad because we got that adorable animation of her rushing off to him. I
So
loved it.
happy he said her name. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have much to be happy about in this grim, like Mad Max level dystopian future. I
Uh-huh.
mean, any day now, somebody that looks like a little kid, but they're made entirely out of dragonflies, could just come by and kill you for the fun of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the subtitle where she calls him her her senpai and they just say his name. I hate that. I hate that. So it kind of
Oh,
just it kind of erases the
undercuts
good
the
of the
emotional weight of
undercuts
it,
them.
right?
Yeah, right. There we go. Those are words I was looking for. Thank you.
So, do you think humans will colonize space before we go extinct? Like, will this ever go from the world of fiction to nonfiction?
No, because the only way we'll probably ever do it is if we're robots.
Hey, sign me up, man. I wanted to be a robot ever since the day I started kindergarten. I used to love the $6 million man, so I thought if I were a robot, it'd be about like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm down with that.
So,
I
the last thing I have to ask you about here is to me, it seems like it would take more than 150 years for No Man's Land to develop to the point that it has. Does it seem to you like 150 years is a little quick to go from the ships crashing to the seven cities scenarios that we're seeing in the anime? I feel like it should be more like 50, like at least 6 or 700.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I never really thought about it too much. We don't I guess maybe they had to build their society on were old westerns. I don't know. But yeah, it's I could see it.
Okay. Well,
I
that's good
mean,
because for me, it just felt a little like number one, it feels a little accelerated. And then number two, it's kind of shocking to me how little like cultural memory they have from the people that were on those ships. It
right.
seems like they're just totally different culturally. And I just feel like that would take a little bit more than 150 years. But also, it's a pretty distressing and bottleneck situation, so it wouldn't take long for something to be dominant either. So, there's
Yeah,
the ups and the downs of the whole thing. And it
that's
also
true.
seems like there's a lot of people, for only
Mhm.
150 years.
I absolutely love what they've done with Zazie the Beast.
Yes. Now, oh, and I think I'm going to use she, her pronouns. Nobody's going to get mad at me for that, are they?
They might.
Okay. They. It is
Consensus.
plural. I mean,
They,
there's
the,
yeah, whatever.
it,
They,
it's
them. That's
it's a
better.
hive. It's a hive. So they, yeah,
Okay,
they,
so with Zazie, they tell us that maybe they're still on the fence about are the worms going to be team human. Like I
yeah.
thought that the worms were firmly team plan already, but I do kind of like now Zazie is starting to feel like something more interesting than sinister, and I
Hmm.
think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, very. He's not
And
one to one manga, but he's damn close, and I love it.
and I also kind of find
Hey,
myself drawn to like hive type beings, like as bad as that particular that old Fantastic Four movie that Fox released that had the Galactus hive thing.
haha, yeah,
Or was that was the Silver Surfer one? That was the one that was
yeah,
actually a little
yeah.
bit
That was
better.
that one.
But
Yeah, it was.
but anyway, it is as unloved as that movie was. I like that concept of Galactus, like the hive mind kind of thing. And then that probably something I've talked about before is like Swarm. I think there's a character Swarm in Marvel that's kind of like that, and I
Yeah.
just like that. I like the whole idea of a hive mind kind of thing. It's the Big Hero 6 movie had the nano
Yes.
bot
Yes.
power. I just love that kind of concept. So of
Yeah, me
course I
too.
really like this version of Zazie. And there's been, I know at least the old anime was different than this, but then I also think some of the explanation in the manga is a little different than this too, is my understanding. Am I close on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like I
good.
said, it's not a one to one manga, but it's damn close.
I like it that if you love the manga, it's close enough you're going to stay hooked, but it's different enough that you don't feel like it's too predictable. I
All
like
right.
saying it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
what I'm
good.
saying is If you haven't read the manga, you'll love this show. If you have read the manga, you'll love this show. If you watch the old Trigun, you'll love this show. If you haven't, you'll love this show. The only thing I think you need to do to love this show is to watch it. So, the
Yeah.
12 people who are still watching this video are probably already watching the show. So I don't know who I'm talking to, but it feels good to say it just the same.
Yeah, hey, we're just shooting the breeze here. People like it, great.
Yes. And with that, I'm just going to say I'm proud of you for watching anime, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Pyroline?
I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. It really means a lot to me. If you might be interested in Patreon perks like early access to videos, uncut reaction videos, ad-free videos, and the opportunity to vote on which anime will be covered in the future, then click on the link in the video description. Thank you.